Okay, welcome to the OSEHRA Working Group meeting for VA PALS, March 14th, 2018. Here's your usual reminder that we are recording this for posterity. And the plan today is for me to show off a little bit of what I've been working on that is not bookkeeping, and for George to show us some stuff as well. Any questions before we get started? Okay. Well, in that case, I will get started. So, I usually don't get a chance to show my stuff off, and some of you may not. Well, I will just show you. So I have been working on unit tests. I think everybody knows what unit tests are, but basically they're where you test a teeny bit of code at a time to make sure that it's working. So that is what I have been working on. And this is for the string library, which is kind of one of the more foundational parts of, I guess, our application and of MASH. And what I've done is, well, I haven't written all 407 tests, but I've written a substantial, well, more than half. And I just wanted to show you that we have this. It's pretty, this is for the %TS namespace. And what I've shown you up there is that the tests worked. They didn't fail. They didn't have any errors. So that's a good thing. That tells us that our program is doing what we want it to. This is how much coverage we've gotten. We have to have over 90% coverage when we go for OSEHRA certification to get the highest level 4 certification level. So on this particular one, we've got 98%, which I think that's 98 is greater than 90, so I think we're good here. But I am still, I'd rather it was 100%. You can see here that these are the list of routines that we've tested along with the test routines. These ones, it annoys me when it does that. These routines are all unit test routines. And then the one in front of it is the one that runs all those routines. And since Joel just arrived, I have a question for you, Joel. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm finally getting better. It's been about 2 weeks now, and I've had more than enough of having a brain full of snot. So.
Yeah, I hear you. No fun. So I have a unit test, MUnit question for you, which is that, so I'm sure this looks very familiar to you. This here is our unit test routine, and you can see I'm only at 71.43%. And I'm hoping that you can help me out, because the lines that are not covered are for our coverage routine. So I'm pretty sure I ran those since this is for coverage. So why is it not saying that they were exercised? Let me know if that does not make sense, because I know I don't always use the right lingo.
Well, if you do the coverage analysis with say 3, as it will show you the lines that are not covered.
Right. Yes. And I have that. I use the 3 verbosity. There we go.
Cover itself is not covered.
Yeah.
But we don't know why not, because it's actually running it.
Well, the one thing that's possible is that that code is being run before you actually turn it on, because cover plus 36 is do coverage percent UT.
So I was under the impression that the exclusion array was used to say don't count this subroutine against the coverage.
No,
Oh.
and I generally wouldn't have the coverage, you know, inside the same routine that I'm running the coverage on. Yeah, I generally have the unit test routine separate, and now that's one thing there is if you don't actually want, if TSUT is a unit test routine, you don't want the unit test routines covered. I mean, you know, the coverage of them doesn't matter. The only ones you're interested in are the ones that are not. And there is a way to exclude unit test routines. But no,
So,
there's no use running coverage on a unit test routine. It's the one that's,
running it.
it's separate from the actual routines, and the ones you're interested in are the, the working routines.
So what is that method of excluding unit test routines?
I'd have to look at the arguments on it, but there's one that, yes, is basically like exclude. You can set up an array of ones to be excluded and pass them in. In fact, there's %TSU-EXCL is probably the exclusion right there.
Right.
Yeah, I was trying to set that up to exclude cover of %TSUT.
I wonder if it would work better if we did it to exclude.
Well, what is the namespace you're using for the routines themselves?
%TS.
%TS, of course. And so yes, then you would want to exclude %TSU and basically asterisk.
Okay.
Oh, a star. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll try that.
Okay, I'll give that a shot. Thank you. Okay, so does anybody have questions about what I've shown you? Okay.
Actually, I have one, Linda.
Oh, okay. Sure.
With what you were first showing us.
The unit tests, or?
Yes, not the coverage, but the unit tests themselves. It looked like all of the, reported times were,
I can explain that.
Zero.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So it can on GTM it can get down to microsecond precision of measuring, but as I've been discovering over the course of the last year, GTM's pretty fast. It's running these subroutines from beginning to end faster than a microsecond, and so they all come out seeming to be zero. To see a number here, you have to run a beefier subroutine that can actually burn up some CPU cycles. And I've been surprised not just by these string manipulation subroutines, which you would sort of expect to be simple, but even when I'm running them on more complex things involving loops, a lot of the time it won't even get to a single microsecond. I discovered a couple of things. One is when you very first run a routine, when it hasn't been loaded into the environment, you get a big spike on cost because it's caching the routine in. And then I also found that once it's been cached, of course, it costs less, but it doesn't cost zero. I can call it from time to time from programmer mode, and I'll still get a measurement. But if I stick it in a fast loop, I won't get any measurement. There's a second optimization GTM is doing in between the two. And my current working hypothesis is that second optimization is if you run fast enough that you are inside of a single Unix time slice, then it effectively is free and runs for, you know, less than a single microsecond. But
less than half probably.
But if you are spaced out at all, then there's some kind of minor cost associated with time slices. What's weird to me is the extent to which the routine caching cost and the time slice cost dwarf the actual execution of mumps cost. Because my brain goes all the way back to the 80s when this was an interpretive language, and of course now it's partially compiled like Java is, and much faster than I expected to be. Hard to measure, in fact. Now you could slow it down if it accesses the disk, if it's doing global activity, you know, that'll slow it down, or device activity, all those things.
Great, thank you.
Excellent question.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Well then, George, I think it's your turn.
Okay. Let's see. I think I can. Can I make myself presenter? Yes, I can. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No. Okay, let's see.
There we go.
Here it comes. Yeah.
Okay, great. Great, yes, so I'm going to show you Dom's new forms running on Vista today. So this is the URL we use. It's our server, our development server, and I'll use the URL VA PALS, and it takes you right to this page. And on this page, we have a number of things. We have a home button, which you'll see on every page in the system. It all takes you back to this page. And also, if you click on the icon, the VA PALS icon, it'll take you back here. And over here are mock-up statistics. Maybe Dom wants to talk about what they are. But these are not based on data, you know, that we're not calculating anything here. These are illustrative, as it says, mock-ups. Only trying to think about what might be on the home page that would be seen every day when you come into the system. That might be important to see. Now, the two major functions in the home page is you can establish a new case. In other words, add a new patient to the system, and eventually we're going to be able to search, use a search on Vista to find the name of the patient. But right now you type in the name of the patient in this version. Let's see.
Hi, George. This is Drew.
Hi, Drew.
Greetings. So, as you know, in the VA healthcare environment, we're used to the first letter of the last name and the last four. Is there a way to search that way?
Well, this is establishing a new case, and we're not connected to Vista. But yes, we would. Well, hopefully, the Vista lookup. When this box is a lookup on the Vista patients, you'd be able to use any of those techniques that Vista uses to find the patient.
Oh, great. Yeah, just because that's what most people are used to.
Right. So when we have the Vista lookup developed, you'd be able to, whatever you type into this box would go into the Vista lookup. And there's a number of ways you could do the lookup on Vista. And any of those ways that would work, I would imagine we're hoping that we can get working here. So, and I know you've mentioned before the part of the last name and then the last four of the social or something is a good way to do it. So we're going to hopefully get that running. But not right now. What you do is you type in the name and the last and first name of the patient, and that will add the patient to the system. And what it'll do is it will it will create create a case ID. And they're assigned sequentially. So this one is 7. It'll show the first and last name. It'll get today's date. It will actually generate a intake form and a background form and pre-fill them with certain information. So if we go to the intake form, for example, we would see that the name, the patient last name, first name, and the study ID. Ooh, that's not right. The study ID should be 7 here, so that didn't come out right. But it is up here, but that one should be filled in here correctly. It's not. And if we were searching on Vista, then more things, for example, the MRN and other things would be, and this patient contact information, we're hoping to fill that in from Vista. Physician contact information, I'm hoping possibly we can fill in this stuff. Although this is just for non-VA physicians, so maybe this is, I don't know if this is stored in the Vista, if we'd be able to find this in the Vista record associated with the patient or not. But date of birth, social security number, mother's and father's name, I think we should, if they're in the Vista record, we should be able to pull them out. Emergency contacts, if they're in the Vista record, then we should hopefully be able to pull it out.
This is Drew again. There's actually one thing that will be helpful is, so each patient typically is assigned to a primary care provider.
Right.
That should be searchable and linkable.
Would that go here?
Maybe as, you know, the primary physician of record. I'm sorry I missed the call last week, but I did watch the video, and I think you had mentioned how it's kind of a moving target in VA. So you've got the primary pulmonary team.
Yeah.
So maybe the best is you could automatically pull whoever that currently linked primary care physician is, and then you would add automatically whoever the site leader is for their screening program as a point of contact, which might be 1 or 2 clinician leads.
So we need more fields on this screen, you're saying?
We may or
sounds like it. Yeah, I mean, it sounds to me, you've got a care team, and I don't know, why wouldn't you just put the whole care team here? Or not. I mean, whatever you want to do, we'll try to do. But right now we have one place to put a physician's name on this form.
Yeah, so whenever you guys get to the point of testing, it'd be nice to see if you can find that linked primary care.
Right, yeah, again, yeah, we don't, I don't, and again, it'll be very hard for us to test that on our Vista systems outside the VA because it's just not, they're not set up like they are inside the VA. So we're going to have to have. Well, anyway. Okay, good. Well, we should. So yes, when we'll start setting up some test patients on our Vista system and try to emulate what they have in the VA for the physician contact information, and see that then we'll have the code that'll then we'll write code that will extract that.
It comes out of PCMM, the patient care management module, which is where the teams are set up, the care teams, and where patients are assigned to them. So, and it has nice APIs, so it'll be easy for us to pull.
Good. All right. So yeah, and then we can try to get that. So yeah, so these things would hopefully be when we're hooked into Vista. We're running on Vista now, but we're not hooked into the Vista patient record yet. So we have the intake, and we have the background form, and this date of birth here, probably we can fill in, and sex, height, and weight we probably can do, possibly occupation. I don't know about occupation code because I don't know that these codes are matched in Vista, but we can look at that. Ethnicity and race, hopefully we can get out of the Vista record. Level of education, I'm not sure if we have in Vista the same categories. But if we do, then we could try to map them. Served in the military, we should be able to definitely get that. I don't know about branch, possibly.
Yeah, that's in there. I think it's in the patient file.
Okay, cool. So we can do that. So where are we right now? We're having some problems with the JavaScript on the background form. So it will work when we get it work. It's the last thing we need to get going, so that you'll be able to actually fill this out and go to these other tabs. So that's the last bug we're really working on right now. These forms. Now, another thing you could do here on the case review page, which is this one, is you could add a new form. And right now, the only form that we have to add is the CT evaluation form. So if we create a new one of those, oh, come on. This was working a little while ago. And anyway, so this usually works. Go back to home. We can search by the study ID. This one was 7. Get back to here, and it didn't add. Well, the thing to do when that doesn't work is you go to a system where it does work. And let's see. Okay, here's a patient, doesn't have a form. Once again. All right, so we have a bug. We usually are able to create a CT evaluation form and show it. So it's a bug that happened sometime very late last night, I think.
It's the excitement of seeing a work in progress.
Yes, so that's where we are. So that and it looks like new form. Create new form. Let's see. Why don't we look to see what we're actually calling here?
Hey, George, it's Dominic. You'll probably notice that I submitted a defect on this page last night in Zero.
Yeah, how did this get back in there?
I have no idea.
This is what's screwing us up. This function, which you put in the this is overriding the action on the form.
I don't remember removing it, so it's got to come out. We'll just do that.
Yeah, this has got to come out because I wrote code to strip it out, as you noticed. But when it's in there, what it does, its behavior is just what we're seeing, which is that it instead of sending this request to VA PALS, it's trying to send it to a HTML page, ceform.html. That's because it's rewriting. That code is rewriting my.
Yeah, that's fine. That's easy enough to fix. We'll just make a quick change and get that.
Okay. Okay, so that's what the bug. I don't know how that stuck in because I wrote code to redact it.
George, I'm thinking you probably shouldn't have to do that. I mean, like I said before, if you see stuff like that just shouldn't be there,
okay.
Just remove it from the templates.
Yeah, I was going to write that into the Jira thing. As soon as you remove this from the template, I'll remove the code to redact it. So Well, why don't do we have a lot else on today's agenda, or can we start debugging with the background screen?
You can start debugging it.
Well, I think that would be really good use of our time, because that's the one thing that we really need to get working for this to be really usable for people to try out.
I'll interrupt you real quick. Just because you mentioned my name earlier about these graphs on the home page.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm guessing there's probably a few people on this call that don't want to, or may not want to experience the debugging portion of this. So I'll just talk about these real quick. And, if people want to jump up.
Sure.
So I mean, Rick Apple actually asked me to add just something to this main page here. There's absolutely no data behind it. They're just mock-ups, and the purpose of them is really just to get people thinking and talking about what kind of statistics they want to see on this home page. So for now, it's, I put a couple of things up there that we've talked about in the past. How much percentage project-wide do we have for rural veterans? There's another one that says just Phoenix, assuming that this is actually running in Phoenix. And then just a bar graph on the bottom there showing how many people are in the system for cancer screening. So it's just stuff that I came up with that has absolutely no data behind it. It's just to get people thinking about what they want to see on this page.
And the neat feature you'll notice here when I open this, is that you could run this on your tablet or on your iPhone even, I guess. Yeah. And resizes and reshapes. You don't lose any data. Very cool, Tom.
Yeah, I've been applying that responsive design throughout the whole site. So the page should be able to scale well.
All the pages scale. It's cool. So then why don't we just ask for any questions then before we get into our debugging session?
Looks like because nobody
Drew.
has questions.
This is Drew.
Hi, Drew.
So can you just give me a timeline for when testing could be done to see what CPRS can and does have to transfer over automatically?
Oh, you want to know when it'll be done, or when we'll know, or what?
Approximately how far into the future from now would be the first time we could bring up questions regarding to that?
Well, as soon as we get this bit operational you're looking at right now, we're going to, in parallel, open up the work to start pulling data across. So week by week, you're going to start seeing things.
Okay. I'll work with Dom and Rick Avila and maybe prepare a list of kind of a wish list and see if we can pull it or not.
That would be perfect.
That'd be really good, because it'd be good to know what we want to have pulled over. I mean, we know the obvious things that I covered now, but a prioritized list by you would be wonderful.
Yeah, I can just open up, a real life CPRS and flush out what would be of value and then present it to the team.
Well, that's great, because you have to realize we don't have access to that.
Yeah.
So if that'll be great information for us, because then number one, we'll know that those are things that you do have invested in the VA, and we'll then know to try to set up test patients on our system that have those same things, and then we'll of course find the interface to pull them. So that's be really valuable, because we don't have again that access. So it's
live patients. No live patients in our hands.
We have none, and our system has no test patients that are really configured anywhere near what a live patient would be like. So on two levels. Number one, it'll be wonderful to get your judgment about what's important of that information to pull over. But number two, it'll be very informative for us, because we don't even know what's there, and configured properly.
All right. Well, that's a good segue into an update for the group. So we went ahead and followed up and recruited users, either future users of this system or people who are currently screening with other systems, to attend the summit in July. And how many do we have, Laura? We have 15 confirmed attendees, and includes users and also some influencers in the VA to, at that point, also kind of be able to provide some more feedback to make sure that we're not missing anything.
That's exciting.
So
That's great.
We'll probably get 20 in the end.
Excellent.
Wow, thank you
On
for
VA
arranging that.
That's all I have.
Great.
Well, that's
Thank
pretty
you.
cool, man.
That's very cool.
What you have is excellent.
That's very cool. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah, but you guys are cooler. This is awesome.
Thanks.
It takes a village.
Encouragement helps. Thank you.
And we demoed this for the screening navigator here in Richmond, and she was, it's just light years ahead of what anyone has.
Cool.
I love it. And we were able to show it to her on an iPhone, no less.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, that's exciting.
All right, have fun debugging. I'm going to jump off.
All right, great. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Drew.
Bye.
Yeah, that's going to be very helpful, both of those things.
George, are you planning on being at the summit this weekend?
I invited. I didn't know.
Yes.
To the OSEHRA Summit?
No, the lung cancer summit this weekend. I thought that's what he was talking about.
No, he's talking about July. He's talking about the OSEHRA Summit.
Yeah, he said July.
Okay, he said July. Okay,
He said
I
July.
missed that. Whew. Okay, cool. I like
So
that.
I don't know. I don't know if my presence is needed or wanted. I mean, how many people do we need from our organization at the LCAP meeting?
Well, there's need and then there's want.
Right.
If you don't want to go, if you want to do other things, you can. What we found is that the ILCAP conferences are fascinating. All of these people who are basically on the cutting edge of lung screening and related disciplines, speaking candidly and with presentations backed by a huge amount of evidence, kind of talk about where the state of this thing is and what the challenges are. It's eye-opening. And it's a way to get to know the user perspective in a way that's not specific to VA. It's kind of about what's the general thing. So it's up to you.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah, might want to look at the program, because here in Seattle on Friday there were like 4 or 5 speakers from VAs that are doing lung cancer screening, and kind of like Richmond, showing us what they were doing. So it was kind of like seeing what's already available as level 3 development.
Class 3.
Class 3.
Yeah.
Development at the different VAs, but I don't know if I will
It's kind of an antidote for the mushroom
take a look.
model of management. It gives you a lot of context for what's going on.
Yeah, I will send you the link for the program and take a look myself, and then you can decide whether or not it looks like it might be useful to you.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Cool. So anything else before we get to debugging? Okay, George, I think that it's all yours now.
Okay. You want to stop recording? Linda?
Recommendation, yeah.
Linda, why don't you stop recording?